At this point, you should be very comfortable using the equation to answer all sorts of how many type questions. Now we are going to take things one step further and ask questions that involve masses. For example, if you are given 20 grams of frostings, how many cookie sandwiches can you make? Hopefully you realize now that you don't have enough information to answer this question. In order to answer it, you need to know the mass of one frosting. This will allow you to figure out how many frostings you have, and then you can use that number to figure out how many cookie sandwiches you can make. So here is a table that tells us the mass of one. Notice here the wafers each have a mass of 1.5 grams, and the frostings each have a mass of 2.5 grams. We will use this table and the equation to answer the question I just asked. So given this new information, we can solve the problem. If we have 20 grams of frostings, how many frostings is that? So to find this, we need to take the mass of the frosting we are given divided by the mass of one frosting. This will give us the number of frostings. So 20 divided by 2.5 is 8. We have 8 frostings. Once we know the number of frostings, we can go back to what we love doing and use the equation to figure out how many sandwich cookies we can make. We have 8 frostings. We can make 8 sandwich cookies. This is because the ratio of sandwich cookies to frostings is 1 to 1. If we're ever in a pinch, we can rely on that procedure to make sure we are consistent with our calculations. So let's try a problem that's more challenging. 66 grams of chocolate wafers will require how many grams of frostings? Here we are given the mass of one ingredient and asked to find the mass of the other ingredient. So we're going to break it down into small steps to make sure that we always follow the same procedure. We have 66 grams of chocolate wafers. So how many chocolate wafers is that? To find that information, we need to divide by the mass of one chocolate wafer using our table of masses. 66 divided by 1.5 is 44. That tells me we have 44 wafers. With this information, we can find out how many frostings we will need. And we have had a lot of practice with this. 44 chocolate wafers will require 22 frostings. The final thing we need to do is we need to figure out the mass of these 22 frostings. To do this, we need to know the mass of one frosting, which is great. We have a handy table nearby to help us out. If one frosting has a mass of 2.5 grams, then 22 frostings will have a mass of 22 times 2.5 grams, which is 55 grams of frostings. Okay, here's another one. Pause the video and see if you can try this one on your own. Then watch me go through the calculations and check your work. Before I even start this, I already know that I'm going to need to know the mass of an entire sandwich cookie. Since the formula is W2F, we need 2 wafers, that's 1.5 plus 1.5, which equals 3 grams, plus 1 frosting, that's 3 plus the mass of a frosting, which is 2.5, equals 5.5 grams. So a W2F has a mass of 5.5 grams. If I need to make 77 grams of sandwich cookies, the first thing I need to do is find out how many sandwich cookies that is. I will do this by taking 77 divided by the mass of one sandwich cookie, which is 5.5 grams. Now I know I'm going to be assembling 14 sandwich cookies. Next, I can figure out how many frostings I need because that's what the question is asking about. That's easy. This is a 1-to-1 ratio of sandwich cookies to frostings. If I were stuck, I could always multiply by the coefficient ratio of the find over given. Frostings 1 over sandwich cookies 1. So 1-to-1 ratio. See why leaving the coefficients as ones really helps us out and see those ratios so quickly? All right, this means that I'm going to need 14 frostings to make all of these sandwich cookies. But the question isn't asking how many frostings do I need? It's asking what is the mass of all of these frostings that I need? Well, we need to look at the mass of one frosting to figure this out, and that information is on the table. So if the mass of one frosting is 2.5 grams and I need 14 frostings, that means that my frostings will have a mass of 14 times 2.5 grams equals 35 grams. You would need 35 grams of frosting to make 77 grams of sandwich cookies.